Hey, business building warrior, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. I'm your host, Jim, and I have some guests joining us here in just a moment. As you've gotten used to, if you've listened to a few episodes of this show, we like to bring on students of our proven Amazon course, provenamazoncourse.com. It's the only course you'll ever need if you're looking to grow a business on the world's most successful e-commerce site, Amazon, as evidenced by hundreds of recent success stories and testimonials. 72,000 members in our free Facebook group. There's a link to all of that at silentjimdotcom. The guests you're going to meet today have only been doing it for a few months, but they're really ramping up. They've got a great story to share. They're doing the business together as a married couple. They're meeting the challenges head on. They came from a background of what we call the treasure hunt model, or I sometimes call it the Easter egg hunt model, where they're finding things that they can flip on eBay, or finding even some things that they were trying to flip on Amazon and sell. They didn't realize until just a few months ago about a year ago, I should say, that you could actually sell on Amazon. They thought everything on Amazon was sold by Amazon. They didn't even realize that third-party sellers could sell products there. So they were very new to all of this. Up until about a year ago, they started experimenting with the Proven Amazon course, like I said, a few months ago, and they've been seeing great results with our REPLENS strategy, which is very different than the treasure hunt or the Easter egg hunt model of flipping one-time unique finds or sale items on Amazon. Their business is hitting a very healthy 5 figures as they're going to share incredible ROI and net margins. They've got an 80% ROI, which Justin sells real estate traditionally, and he's flipped real estate for years. He says he can't find a return on investment like that anywhere in real estate. 80% ROI is tremendous. So they're rolling their money over. They've got great momentum. They teach us about the kind of products they're finding, how they're finding them. Then we dive into some other tips and strategies for their continued growth and expanding their business into some new directions. They're super excited about the future of this business. They're doing it together. It's yet another of dozens of recent success stories coming from our Proven Amazon course community. If you're ready to get started, we're here to help you out. Proven Amazon course is just a few dollars a month, and you get everything, all the modules that we have that have anything to do with selling on Amazon, including all of our REPLENS training, which is where we start 99% of our new students, all the way through even the more advanced strategies that we reserve for those who have some momentum and have already proven out the basic concepts, like private label, for example. We don't teach that to new students. We spent some time talking to Justin and Claudi today about how they almost stepped into some private label strategies, and they're very glad they didn't do it early on, listening to some other YouTube experts and such who are trying to sell expensive courses. They didn't feel right about it, so they didn't do it. They were very wise to avoid those strategies and step into the strategies where you can put money in the bank as you learn. Instead of spending a bunch of money and hoping it works out someday, the strategies we teach allow you to put money in the bank while you learn and then scale slow and steady, which is the best way to build a beautiful business. And we love teaching great students like our guests today. We'd love to teach you as well. We even have a great coaching program. If you want to work one-on-one with one of the coaches on our team who came from a background, all of our coaches have the same background. They started off as Proven Amazon course students. They grew a beautiful business. They demonstrated they had a teacher's heart and they loved helping others succeed in business. So we recruited them onto the team as a great coach. And now they help a handful of students at a time as our coaching program continues to grow. We've got 60 of those coaches. If you want to work with one of them, we'd love to talk to you about it. There's a link again. silentjim.com is the only link you're going to need for all the resources today. We talk about a lot of tools and resources. All those are in the show notes for today's episode. So look for that. Don't have to scribble down the links and the resources we talk about today. Just look at the show notes. We've got links to everything. Well, with that introduction, one last thing. We did talk to our guests today. They do plan to attend the Proven Conference. Theprovenconference.com has all the details that you could possibly need about the event, help you make a great decision, all kinds of new, unique content that's never been taught before, along with hundreds of your fellow business building warriors, fans of this podcast, students of the Proven Amazon course. You do not want to miss this event. Plan to be there, meet today's guests and so many of the other podcast guests that you've heard on this show. All right, that's enough of an intro for now. Let's get over and meet Justin and Claudi. You're going to enjoy this discussion. Justin and Claudi, welcome to the program.
Hey, Jim, how are you doing?
And I'm blessed. It's so good to meet you guys. Looking forward to hearing your story. I read a little bit of a bio, but I can't wait to dive in. Are we going to start with you, Justin?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, so first of all, we're honored to be able to be here with you today, and just we've listened to so many podcasts, and we really didn't think we would be here. So we're excited, and it's a real honor, and we thank you.
It is for me as well. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's fun for me. I learn way more than I teach on this thing, I think. So great hanging out with you.
So yeah, I guess to start our e-commerce journey, mine, it goes way back to eBay. I've had an eBay account for a really long time, and you just sell things around the house, or just various things. And I my day job is I'm a real estate investor. We buy and flip houses, and a lot of times when you buy a house, it's just full of stuff, and the attic is full of stuff. And so over the years, I've one of my bonuses is to go through an attic and find cool stuff, and either give it to people or sell some interesting stuff on eBay. So I was somewhat familiar, at least with eBay, but Amazon was always very, I think, intimidating for me. Sure. And even, I guess, more than that, for a long time, I think I thought, like a lot of other people, that when you bought something from Amazon, you were buying from Amazon. And right. I didn't realize that other people were really selling on Amazon. So
yeah, the vast majority of the products being sold are from third-party sellers. Absolutely. Yeah. And most people don't realize that till they start trying to sell themselves. But I want to jump back, if we could. I'm very curious now, because I started on eBay as well. Like, give me a couple examples of things that you found, like surprises that I'm sure there was a lot of junk and just clean out stuff you threw away, but did you find some really cool stuff? Have you ever been in an attic and come out with something that blew your mind?
Yeah, so many cool things. I remember one time I found in an attic this two huge boxes of magazines. They were like the teen magazines from the 1960s, and they were all in good shape. And I started going through them, and they were like first edition, all these types of things. And I just took pictures, and I bet I made several $1,000s from selling those magazines there. And actually, the very first thing Claudi sold, and what kind of pushed us into it, is I had found another magazine in a house, and I showed her how to list it on eBay, and I got it for free. We sold it for what?
$120.
$120, one magazine.
Old magazine.
She was hooked. Then she was like, "Oh my gosh, we can actually make money."
Yes.
That's incredible. I've seen people take those old magazines and tear individual ads out and sell those. Have you seen that on eBay?
There's just all kinds of stuff. And I remember one house, I opened up a closet, and it was full of all these boxes, and they were these dolls. It looked like from a horror movie. But they were really expensive dolls, and I ended up selling all those for several $1,000s on eBay, and so you do find it's not all junk, and there's a good bit of stuff you can find in houses.
Sure.
And before that, I did some commercial stuff where I worked. We had a commercial painting business. We painted apartments, and it's the same thing with apartments. People just leave, and they leave. You wouldn't believe what people leave. And
I've done a few rental houses, and yeah, I it's a mixture of kind of a strange depression and what's wrong with you people, and you just look around at the mess, and it's like, really, you left that behind? That's $50 sitting right there. What are you thinking? Right? So it's a strange kind of, you lose faith in humanity. At the same time, you're like, well, all right, at least you left some money behind. But
sometimes, like, some magazines, some stuff, they are like so old that like I would throw away, but he's like, no, we're gonna make money, and we do.
Yeah,
that's so great.
I have to stop the guys working with me because they just want to throw it all in the dumpster. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, you got to teach them how to spot the $20 bills laying around, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Well, yeah. So that was your introduction, eBay, and I think a lot of us who've been doing e-commerce more than, say, I don't know, 15 years, we have eBay stories, because that really was the only game in town for a while. So you've been doing this a while, but you started getting into Amazon. Just pick the story back up from there, Justin.
Yeah. So I think we were trying to think about this. It was either really late 2020 or January 2021 when I opened up an Amazon account, and I had done some research and watched some videos, and I went down the whole road of watching all these videos, these people trying to sell courses and private label, and it. I'm a pretty cautious person, and so I was going through as much as I can, trying to learn as much as I can on my own. And I never felt good about any of those things, and I can't remember who I found, but it was somebody that was just maybe had a TikTok or something that were doing retail arbitrage, and that piqued my interest, and I thought, well, she had not been able to get her immigration. She wasn't here yet, so I had some more time on my hands. So I decided, I was like, in the evenings I might, go up to TJ Maxx or whatever and just scout around a little bit. And so I started experimenting with it, and I thought, I'll try to do a proof of concept to see if you can actually make any money doing this, or if it's just for show on the internet. And so I started doing it, just a little bit of small money, and then a couple of months in, I was telling her, I was like, man, I'm actually making a little bit of money, not much, but a little bit of money doing it, and I kind of enjoyed it. It was like a hobby type of thing, and so I did it for 3 months, I think. And then her interview came through, and I had to fly to Brazil, and like life got crazy, and we just stopped. And so
all the focus was on us coming to the US, so we couldn't think about
getting your family all together. And what part of Brazil are you from, Claudi?
São Paulo.
São Paulo.
São Paulo State, but I'm from Santos area.
Okay. I'm not real familiar with it, but I did some foreign exchange student work over a decade ago, and it had several. Just what a beautiful culture, Brazil. The kids from Brazil were just a pure delight. Just the most loving, family-oriented, friendly, outgoing. I think everyone there is an extrovert. Every Brazilian I've ever met, it's like, do you guys even make introverts there? I don't think you do. It was such a great culture. So fond memories. I've never been, but they were all from Sao Paulo area. Went out.
Yeah, great culture, great people, and great food.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they bragged about their food. They're like, our food is so much better than what you have here.
Yeah. I miss food in Brazil a lot.
I bet you do. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into the rest of the story. So keep us going.
Yeah. So life got crazy, and she was able to come, and when she came, I own my own business, and as owning your own business, it gives you a lot of flexibility, and which is what I like about it the most. And I just told her, I was like, hey, don't worry about getting a job immediately. Adjust, and my stepdaughter, her daughter, her English was not very good. Let's work on getting her English up to par and everything. And so we just really focused on that for a while. And she was a teacher, an English teacher, and actually was a principal of a school there for a while. And so we thought that she would go and choose something like an education here, and that was kind of the plan. But with that becomes a lot of restrictions of travel, and having the freedom. And so I think at one point I finally looked at her, and I was like, why don't we give this Amazon thing a try again? And she wasn't sure about it, but the magazine that we listed on eBay made her a believer. And she couldn't believe that sold for $120. And I said, I think we can do this, and it could be something that could be awesome. And so our first goal was to make enough money for our house payment. And I was like, if you can do this and make some side money and we can make our house payment, that is awesome. And so that was our first goal. And we have in our bathroom these white porcelain tiles, and we have these dry erase markers, and we'll like write little notes or whatever. And I remember she wrote 5K, like I want to make $5,000 a month. And so every time we take a shower, there's a big 5K right there. And
I love it.
within the second month of doing it, we made more than 5K. And that was really like motivating for us. Obviously that was the gross amount. But it was really about what we netted was almost our house payment, from that first one. So we were both like, oh my gosh, this has potential.
Yeah.
But we still kind of looked at it as a side thing, really for the whole year of 2022 up until around September, October. Like we were making some decent money. We were learning, we went through IP issues and scared to death that we're going to lose the account because we're selling, certain things and get the scary letters in the mail and which thank you for introducing Jeff Schick. We've actually subscribed to that now. It's given me a lot more.
You've got him on retainer. Good. Yeah. You're at the level early on, even where it makes sense. It's cost you about $3 a day to put him on retainer, something like that. And it just saves you so many of those little scares, like you said. And we can dive more into that as later in our discussion today. So we can kind of explain what it is we're talking about there. But yeah, glad you made that connection with Jeff. We'll stick a link in the show notes to all of that, of course, as well today.
Yeah, for sure. But I think it was, again, like around September of October this past year. And I'm not sure how I found out about your community, but somehow I found out about it and I checked it out. And I have watched, hundreds, if not thousands of, people talking about Amazon. And I don't know, it was the first one. I just felt the sincerity in what you were doing and just genuinely trying to help people, and it just really struck a chord with me. And I told her about it. I said, hey, we need to listen to these podcasts. And
because like most people, they want to show like crazy numbers that they're gonna make like easy a lot of money, and we work with these, and we know that's not this way that things work. Like you need to work, and so we felt like it was more sincere and more doable.
Yeah,
what you were talking about.
Yeah, thank you for that. We like to emphasize real stories from real people, and I don't know why more people don't do that. If you're going to claim to teach business strategies, you should have a long line of students who are learning those strategies at different levels. Some are new, some have been doing it a while, some are very successful. But I want to hear from your students. I don't want to hear from you about how great your program is. That doesn't do it. I want to hear from your students. So that's been our philosophy for a long time, and I think that's probably what you detected is these are real people. Have you guys ever been on a podcast before?
No.
I mean, the vast majority of our students that we interview haven't been. Like, this is new for them to kind of tell their story and share their business. But that makes for great content. And it's not just one dynamic expert sugarcoating everything, like you said, Claudi, making it sound like you're going to make so much money so fast. And the sales pages are even annoying. Stacks of cash and boats and hot tubs.
When you click, you're like, okay, but you need to spend a lot of money to get there. So.
Yeah, and they're trying to talk you into these courses that cost thousands and thousands of dollars. You talked about that early on, Justin, with some of the private label courses you were seeing. I mean, I can't believe what they charge for those courses. It's some people fall for it, but there's no success stories to follow up with. Is the thing. And I think your real estate background, Justin, probably did you some good, because like if someone were to come to you and go, hey, I can teach you to do real estate in 2 hours. I'm going to help you flip houses and make a ton of money instantly. you'd be like,
Yeah.
this guy's a clown. He's selling courses, taking people's money and running with it, right? You would know. So that same feel kind of came out of the private label Amazon
Mhm.
culture. There's some good guys in that space, and we actually do a decent job of teaching it ourselves, but not to new students. There's a lot of
Yeah.
blood, sweat, tears, and sacrifice and learning curve there, but you should not be jumping in as a new seller trying to do private label. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah, we take the lower hanging fruit. It's not arbitrage like you guys, selling magazines and stuff you found in attics. It's not that. It's a little more purposeful. It's a lot more scalable, but it's a fairly
Mhm.
simple model, and that's what we like to teach to our new students. We call it the REPLENS model, and I think that's what you guys are doing now. And so, as you guys said, you started getting into our community as we're recording this. Here we are in February 2023. So 5-6 months ago or so, you started getting into our community, checking us out. Let's pick the story up from there, unless I'm leaving anything out.
No, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we were, I guess, primarily in, those months before, we would, find things on sale or clearance and those types of things. And it's, yeah, you can make decent money doing those things. And we heard about the replens, which I, never even considered that you could buy things at full price and be able to sell them on Amazon. And so we started learning about that. And I think we sat on the sideline just listening to a lot of podcasts, while driving or this or that for a while. And then we subscribed to the Proven Amazon course and started going through some of those. And it was really helpful for us to start to motivate us and change our way of thinking a bit. And I would say we're still in the really learning process of that.
Yeah.
And the reality is probably the majority of what we do, we've become, we took the OA simplified course within that. And that helped us to go down a lot of rabbit trails to find different places online. And we find some replens, some sales, like a mixture of those things.
Sure, no reason not to.
Yeah, and it's like if it's there and there's a lot of money to be made, then why not take it? And
we live in an area that we have a lot of opportunity like to buy things on sales too. So it's there.
Yeah.
We do it.
The area you're in. Where do you live? Did you say?
In Durham, North Carolina.
Yeah, that's
Raleigh.
Right. So you're in a very popular areas that we've seen Claudi, a lot of stores, a lot of sales, a lot of opportunity there. Yeah, there's no reason not to take that into account. I just don't want to see sellers get stuck there where they're working 40, 50 hours a week to make $50,000 to $80,000 a year. There's so much better. There's models that are so much better than that you can really automate and scale and put a team in place. It's hard to automate the Easter egg hunt, the treasure hunt models. It's just hard to automate those. They're pure hustle. And some Saturdays you go out and find $1,000, and other Saturdays you'll go out and you'll find nothing. Right.
Yes.
And you can just find yourself kind of wasting your time. That's why we like to transition people into the more stable replens. It's scalable. You can build a team around it, step back and be a business owner instead of having a job for yourself that sometimes makes money, sometimes doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, that's what I've told her is, it's a lot like real estate in that you can flip houses, but it's like once that house is done, it's done. But if you have houses that you can have residual income, is coming in every month. It's
like rentals.
Like rentals and those types of things.
Exactly. That's a great analogy.
Replens are kind of like that. They're just I remember hearing one of your podcasts and you were saying, you go to the store and you'd see a product and you're like, oh, well, that's $40 a month I can make. You multiply that by 100, and all of a sudden you've got a good income. Right. And so that's what we're trying to transition into. And so we kind of move at a slow pace, and as we're doing it, and we're kind of very thoughtful of how we do things. And so, we've just kind of slowly been building, and then, over the last few months, combined with the motivation from hearing people's stories, us really believing in it, I think we finally were like, okay, because in real estate, I'm always looking at the return on investment. I've got investors. I have to make sure they get a good ROI and all these types of things. And I'm almost at the point now where at some point, I might want to show them my Amazons. Like I'm getting a better ROI in Amazon than in real estate. So
Yeah,
it's
that's what
very
I'm hearing.
important to me. Yeah.
There's a lot of, as evidenced by, and you'll appreciate this, Justin, you'll have no problem at all finding people ready to fund your Amazon business as it starts to grow. They'll throw money at you. It's I got to imagine from what I'm hearing, it's just getting a little harder to find people to throw money at real estate deals. But man, for Amazon, they're lining up. The small business loans are there. They're in abundance because they know that if you know what you're doing on Amazon, you're a good, safe investment. So funding is not going to be a challenge as you guys start to scale the Amazon business. So many great funders. Many of them will be at our conference in July, actually coming, just trying to get the attention of this selling community because they know the methods we teach work. But I love the analogy to real estate as well, where we kind of look at the REPLEN model is like a cash flow positive rental. Right. Yes. And then the Easter egg hunt or the treasure hunt model is kind of like that one-time flip, bought it for 20, sold it for 37, put $6,000 in the bank after everything was said and done. That's kind of like the Easter egg, the treasure hunt. You make your money one time and now it's off trying to find another flip versus owning a portfolio of good, solid rentals, which is real estate. The only difference would be with an ASIN or a REPLEN, it could vanish at any time. And typically real estate doesn't just vanish.
Yeah. But the ASINs are easier to find than real estate. So.
Far easier than a good house that you can cash flow. That's right. You can find a bunch every day.
You don't have anybody destroying your ASIN.
When they move out, they don't break the windows and That's great. But I love the contrast between different business models. And the truth is there's no perfect business model out there. It doesn't exist. Every business requires blood, sweat, tears, work, and sacrifice. You're hoping it works out someday. You're putting in time, effort, energy now, and money now, hoping that 6 months, a year from now, it's something bigger, better, profitable. That's why I call us business building warriors. There's a lot that goes into making a business work. But I love this model, and I love to see our students wading in nice and slow, taking their time, analyzing it, seeing what else is out there, because it really does stand up to scrutiny. This model really does stand up to any way you want to measure it. We've got a lot of people doing it successfully. You don't have to spend a lot of money to wade in. And it sounds like you guys are starting down that path. How is it going so far? What have you done so far? And I know you've had some sales. You mentioned you had some $5,000 months. And that's mainly doing the treasure hunt model, it sounds like. But talk me through where you're at now, and maybe let's dig into your business a little bit, give you guys some pointers maybe going forward.
Yeah, I think, fourth quarter of last year is when we got a little more serious about, it's kind of, as you guys say, feed the beast. We were like, okay, we need to feed the beast and send more stuff in. And I think October we had like our biggest month, maybe like 13,000. And we were, it was like over the moon. It was like, oh my gosh, that was a huge month. And then we thought it would be even more, but it actually went down a little bit over November and December. But we believed in the model. We were like, we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep feeding the beast, and we're going to keep sending things in. And we were learning things like Keepa and looking at the graphs and seeing, it gives you a lot more confidence when you're buying something, when you see, what it's been selling for over a longer period of time. And it's like, okay, well, it may not sell immediately, but if, within 30 days or 45 days, it'll sell. And anyway, and then in January,
we were worried because last January was like really bad. Yeah. And we were like, oh, here comes January again. But it was totally the opposite.
Yeah. So we sold $21,000 in January. And
wow, which is the last full month as we're
Yeah.
recording this, 2023, January. So
Yeah.
how much of that was REPLENS and how much of that was treasure hunt?
It's probably maybe 35% REPLENS. Like we're building that up more and more. And a lot of it is we've kind of gravitated more toward I guess more expensive stuff. Like me being in construction, I spend a lot of time in places like Home Depot, that type of thing. So I'm looking at the aisles there rather than a grocery store per se. And so, so that's what we've talked about. We're wanting to flip that, where the sales and the treasure hunts are maybe, 20% of it, and the other is 80%. So we're trying to make this transition.
And you'll get there. You'll definitely get there.
This month has been incredible. Like we're at like, I don't know, what is today's date? The 16th. Like we've already sold 17 or 18,000 this month already.
Wow. So you're on pace for a possible. Well, February is a shorter month, but I mean, you guys could get close to 30 if this holds up. Definitely on the other side of 25.
Yeah, and so we're wanting to continue just pushing, and seeing what we can do. I've got a friend. Her and her husband, they work for me in real estate, doing some things, and so she's started to help Claudi like one day a week packing and that type of thing. And so we want to incorporate her and some other people, and as we expand, because it gets to be a lot. Our basement is a disaster. It's full of stuff all the time, and so my son, his room, he's in college, but when he comes home to visit, we have to clean out his room so that he can sleep on his bed.
Right. Yeah, you guys took my room.
Yeah.
That's
it's
so
funny
great.
Both of my sons they see us actually making money doing it now, so now they're interested and they're like, "Can you teach us?" And
and they say it's amazing because like when my friends talk about it, everybody says that Amazon is a scam or something, but like you're really doing it and it works. So that's what people think, that it's always scam, it doesn't work. And like when they see like real people making money, they're like, oh, they want to learn. And
well, send them to the podcast. You'd be doing them a big favor, or bring them onto your team, right? And have them help you grow. That's how my team has grown, is just as family and friends. It's a lot of family, but I've brought them on the team, found a role, and off we go. Yeah. So 21,000 in January. You're set to do significantly more than that in February, as here we are most of the way through the month of February. We're just past halfway. What's your net margins looking like on these? You said earlier that the ROI for the Amazon business is outpacing your real estate investing. So where are we at? You sound like a numbers guy.
Well, so in 2023, like our net margin is around 31%. And then,
that's great.
So that's the net margin. But if as a real estate guy, I'm looking at the amount invested versus what I get back. I'm not looking at the total sales per se. And if you look at it that way, the numbers are actually much higher, because so like in January and February this year, it's like a 81% ROI on the money that we've invested. I can't do that in real estate. I can't even get close in real estate. So that's exciting for me when I look at those type of numbers, like compared to what I invest versus what I get back. Within, and if you put it on an annualized ROI,
it's ridiculous. Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Like 900% or something. Yeah.
Because you're cycling the money about every 3 months, by the time you spend it till you get it back. And
the story that illustrated that really well for me recently was a chiropractor. It's actually my aunt's chiropractor. My aunt works in my warehouse, and she was seeing her chiropractor and told him about this business, and he got into it. But he just wanted to put in $200. That's it. He wasn't going to use any more money than that. He had access to other funds, but he's like, "Oh, this is my $200 experiment." So all of his inventory, the proven Amazon course, his shipping supplies, everything came out of that $200. And he just rolled it over. And within a couple of years, he had paid off $10,000 or tens of thousands of dollars of student loans that he still owed with that initial 200. So like you say, when you start annualizing these kind of returns and you keep rolling your money over, he wasn't taking any money out himself. He was just paying off debt. He wasn't paying
I
himself.
listen to this podcast.
Do you remember that one? And
Yeah.
it's pretty incredible how fast a little bit of money turns into a lot of money. If we're talking, 31% net profit, 80% ROI, that, and you're rolling that cash back in and you're flipping it into more cash fast. Yeah, you can build a pretty nice pile of cash pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of what we're doing is we're basically decided to take every month to take 1,000 out, like for house expenses or whatever, but everything else is just rolling right back into the business to sustain it and grow it. And like I said, it's exciting for me. In real estate, I'm always looking 6 months, a year down the road. I mean, because the projects take so long, and this is, you're seeing it come to fruition a lot faster, and it's just really exciting for me. I enjoy doing it, and I'm not saying I'm going to quit real estate, but
Right.
but I have committed to her that we're in this together. We enjoy working together. I mean, she helps me with the real estate stuff too, but it's a way for us to spend more time together. Maybe she wants me to go out shopping more. I don't know, but anyway, but we get to spend time together, and we're building something together, and just really enjoying it. But,
go ahead, Claudi. Sorry.
We have freedom, it's like when I was a teacher in Brazil, and that's why I didn't want to teach here. I didn't want to be stuck in a schedule, because we spent a long time away from each other. So we want to enjoy life, travel, and this is gives us the opportunity to do this. If tomorrow we don't want to do anything, we don't.
Yeah.
Of course, we work a lot, but if we need to have a weekend off or a week, we can. So, and I like it a lot.
Yeah. The routine is, I can't, I'll put it this way. I started doing this 20 years ago, approximately, having this internet lifestyle, this, don't wake up with an alarm clock, wake up based on how much sleep you need the night before, right? How late did you go to bed? Well, that's how much sleep. I don't use an alarm clock. I haven't for a couple decades now, with rare exceptions. I love the flexibility, but that's what I set out to do. I had my last job was a real job, working for Microsoft, selling software, showing up early, working hard, making some decent money. But I was away from my family. I had to wake up to an alarm clock. I was on their schedule. I had to ask permission to take a few days off. So that flexibility became the ultimate goal for our family. And 20 years in, I can say it has never gotten old. It's never gotten boring. I've never regretted it. It's beautiful having that flexibility to control your schedule, to look outside and the weather's nice. Hey, let's bump everything back to tomorrow. Let's go to the zoo. Let's spend some time together. Let's go hit some trails together today as a family. Because we homeschooled our kids. So that was another degree of flexibility we had where, if we wanted to go on a vacation, we could go during the off-peak season when everyone else is in school, right? So there's just so many benefits to, and that's why I'm such an advocate for all of this, is because I want this for as many families. If they want that, I want to help them get that. And it sounds like that's what you guys are going for and making happen as well. And it absolutely fits. I love that you brought up, Justin, that you're keeping the real estate thing going. I mean, why not? Why not have multiple streams of income? We have the ability to do that now. Make it happen. Right?
For sure. Yeah. And it's something I enjoy, and it's never felt like a job to me because I enjoy it. And just even this is, I think I've always been an entrepreneur since I, got out of college. I've had different little businesses and that type of thing. And so I enjoy the challenge of, fighting through something and learning. And that's what I've told her. Just like in real estate, like I spent many years. I know how to fix anything on a house, because I had to learn how to do it before I could supervise other people doing it. And that's what I said with the Amazon. I said, we have to learn like the ins and outs and how to do all these things. And not everybody has to do that. But for me and the way I work, it's like I feel better, once we get to the point where we hire a VA and all these types of things. I want to, be able to know what I'm doing and know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and we strongly advise that path as well. You don't just want to hire someone in to do something because you don't know how. You want to know how to do the different moving parts. It's not a complex business. It just isn't. There's a bit of a learning curve, but you can learn all you need to know within a few months and then start hiring, putting people in place and start scaling. We've seen it happen so many times. I'm very confident in that advice that you do want to learn it yourself first before you hire people. Yeah. But there's not that much to learn before you've got a viable operation up and running. Hey, sorry for the short interruption, but you're going to love what I have to share with you. Let's talk about Seller Board. As an Amazon seller, do you know your numbers? Are you tracking your profit and loss by ASIN, cost of goods sold? How accurate are your numbers? Seller Board helps you get extremely accurate. Starting at just $15 per month, you can know when to buy products, when not to buy products, which ones are profitable, which ones aren't. You can really start to dial in your Amazon business. Get over to silentjimdotcom/numbers and check out the latest fantastic sponsor to this program. So many Amazon sellers in our community are using it. I'm thrilled that they've become a sponsor of this program. Thanks, Seller Board. Go check out their offer, silentjim.com/numbers. You can learn all you need to know within a few months and then start hiring, putting people in place and start scaling. We've seen it happen so many times. I'm very confident in that advice that you do want to learn it yourself first before you hire people. Yeah. But there's not that much to learn before you've got a viable operation up and running. Yeah. So what are the next steps, or how could I help you guys out? What questions do you have for me, or how are you finding your products right now? Are you still doing mainly, you mentioned online arbitrage strategies earlier, but it sounds like you're still hitting the stores. Where do you guys want to go next?
Well, I mean, we've started, working with Keepa more and trying to do product finder through that. I have the tactical arbitrage. We took the OA simplified course, right. and that doesn't find a lot of products, but it gets me on the path to find a lot of products.
Rabbit trails, we call them, right?
All the rabbit trails I end up on. And so, I think one of the things that I think we would like to learn is bundling. And we've never listed, like I run across a lot of products that would be really good if there was a listing, but there's not a listing for it. And so we've never created a listing. Is something I think is in the course. There is some teaching on that, correct?
Yeah. If you go through the provenbrandbuilding.com module, and I want to mention too, since we're mentioning modules, the oasimplified.com module is included in the Proven Amazon course. It's free in there, as is the provenbrandbuilding.com course. And as part of that Proven Brand Building, where we teach you how to set up branded bundles, we do show you how to set up a new listing as well. It's not complicated. It's something we typically don't recommend brand new sellers to do. We don't like to see brand new sellers doing a good handful of things. We don't like to see them drop shipping. We don't like to see them try private label. We don't like to see them setting up new listings on Amazon. You're not ready for those things. Please don't stay away from those things. But you've got the experience now. You guys could very competently set up new listings for products that you want to test. I think you'd be a good candidate to go through the Proven Brand Building, like I mentioned, that module. And we've got some new print-on-demand training that's coming down the pike. It's going to be at our live event in July. It's going to be a new course module as well very soon. I think you guys would enjoy that. it's like low level private label, low risk, low investment, kind of testing little ideas, throwing a little bit of money at them, and when one sticks, you ramp up with it. It's a beautiful strategy. I think you'd have some fun with that as well. Just kind of having that entrepreneurial, creative brain, and print on demand can be a lot of fun. You can put creative, fun sayings on products and launch them out. So that's coming soon. I think you might be interested in that as well. But yeah, the sky's the limit. But the thing I do want to see you guys continue to focus on, if I was coaching you, would be the basics. And that is finding more replens, finding underserved listings. You mentioned the Keepa advanced sourcing. The Olsons just came out with 9 new strategies. That's provenamazoncourse.com/Keepa is details on that. Huge discount for our students. Of course, free for our coaching students. But that takes you through 9 different creative ways to use Amazon to find great replens. Diving into those strategies, continuing to do it, maybe getting a virtual assistant, one that you train yourself or one from our team. That's the greatest first hire you can ever make, is someone else to find profitable replens for you. That'll help you scale.
That's our goal, to go more into the replens and like.
Yeah, I think that's where you need to focus rather than diversifying anymore right now. There's plenty of ways you can go, but you guys are, 21,000, maybe coming close to hitting 30 this month, and you'll be at that 30 to 40 month level pretty soon. I'd like to see you really get that dialed in to where it's not reliant on you guys to find new products. And once you've got someone else finding great new replens for you consistently, now you can start diving into some of these other areas. And maybe use a coach, depending on how the funding looks, to help you navigate this. But getting someone else finding replens would be a great next step for where you guys are, because you really have navigated a considerable amount of this without a coach. You've just used the course and free content, the podcast, the Facebook group, which we haven't talked a lot about. Are you guys in there much? That's how you guys are in there some, at least, right?
Yeah, and that's been very helpful. I mean, there's been definitely times where I've asked questions on there. I mean, not a lot. I've asked maybe 3 or 4 questions, but people have been very helpful. And that's one thing that honestly has amazed me, because in the real estate world, I have friends that are in the real estate world, but a lot of times it's hard because people locally, especially, they become your competition for everything. So it's hard to have friends locally. And anyway, but it's been nice to see the sincerity of everyone trying to help one another. And I think the opportunity is really, truly so big that you don't have to be afraid about sharing and that type of thing.
You're exactly right. It wouldn't be possible for us to all be as friendly as we are with each other, sending each other, I'll get texts from people saying, hey, this ASIN dude, if you live near Menards, go buy all you can get. It's hot right now. We send that stuff constantly, sending each other tips and strategies, sharing very openly in our Facebook group. It's a testament, yes, to the quality of the people we've attracted, but it's even more telling as well that, like you just said, this opportunity is so expansive. It's such a blue ocean out there. It's kind of like, if there's only 5 or 6 boats sitting on a massive body of water, you're not competing with each other for the fish. There's fish everywhere. So let's cooperate. Let's give each other tips and strategies. And it has a lot to do with the abundance mindset versus a poverty mindset as well. And we talk about that a lot in here because you certainly can contrast our Facebook group with, say, Amazon's own discussion forum, if you've ever been in there in Seller Central, and just see it's a bloodbath. People giving each other wrong information intentionally and calling each other names and you idiot, why are you even in here? You shouldn't be here. Like, we don't do that. We treat people with respect. We don't see them as competitors. And I think more importantly, we have an abundance mindset, meaning success is available to any and all in abundance. And the more I can help you succeed, the more I'm going to succeed myself. And that's just been part of our philosophy from day one. And people who don't get that, we've got an exit very clearly marked, and you can leave anytime. And there you go. Go find a group where you can complain and hate everybody. That's great. There's plenty of groups like that. But excuse me, we don't do that here. We treat people with respect and honor. And we truly have an abundance mindset about this whole thing. So I think that's a lot of what you've detected, and we're proud of that. We protect that culture intentionally. Not that we don't fight off problems together. There's challenges. You mentioned IP complaints, and I want to get into that. For example, we don't delete those posts. We tackle them together, but we don't want people coming in just negative for the sake of negativity. Mindset really does matter.
Yes, it's very important.
Yeah, it's like the rudder. It's a rudder that steers the ship, if you will. Your mindset, the words you allow yourself to use, and those are important factors in your success.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that's what really, drew us to, you guys, and just, I don't know, we're very appreciative to it, and I know, most people that are stand on the sidelines probably feel the same way as us. There's just so much you can glean from it, and from you guys, and your wisdom, and just your sincerity. I I pride myself with knowing, being able to read people pretty well, and I can see that you guys are very sincere in what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, from day one, another thing that was the goal when it was just a few of us, we talked about not ever having a personality-centric community. It was going to be entrepreneurs, leaders, whoever had a great idea, step up on stage and share it. It's not about one person or a group of people that are emphasized. And I've told our team, and you'll see we have many guests, hosts on the podcast. For example, if you come to the live event, you'll notice that I'm seen very little. I love it that way. Day one, I'll make a few opening remarks, and then I'm kind of invisible. It's just all the successful students from our community, all the great coaches and leaders and people who have great ideas. That's who we highlight the entire event. So that served us very well. That I'm a very, very replaceable piece of a much bigger picture. And we all are. The value we bring is the ideas that we share and the relationships we have. And it's just a community that's kind of adapted that culture. And I'm quite proud of that. That it's lasted as long as it has and grown as large as it has, and helped as many people, more importantly, that it's helped. It's kind of hard to wrap your mind around sometimes. And the popularity of this podcast continues to just astound all of us. We had like 130,000 downloads on iTunes the last 30 days. That's just incredible that many people are resonating with. I've got no fancy graphics, no fancy edits to the video. It's just two people sitting down and having a conversation about Amazon. Very little editing, and it's real. It's authentic. My favorite word is transparent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
But so let's make this useful for you guys. Let's make this useful for the remaining time we have. What challenges, you mentioned IP issues. If this was a coaching session, what hard questions might you be asking me, and make it useful for you guys and maybe for the listeners too, as we start to wrap this one up?
Yeah, I think the only thing that really keeps me up at night is the IP issues occasionally, and they're not all the time. I think they were more prevalent when we were first starting. We're a lot more careful now, and we've got some different apps to help us. Plus, we've learned which brands to stay away from and those type of things. But we put Jeff Schick on retainer, and he's already helping me with one issue right now, and that's giving me better sleep at night. I guess my question is there anything else I can be doing, or we can be doing to protect our account?
Well, this is one of my favorite topics to just kind of hit right between the eyes, because it is that thing that causes the most unnecessary anxiety in the Amazon seller community, especially the REPLENS seller community. Unnecessary anxiety. The word unnecessary is the focus here. Because again, you may have heard me say this before, but I've said it many times, and it still holds true, that after teaching thousands and thousands of students these strategies, hundreds of success stories that you've heard on this podcast, a wide open discussion forum with 72,000 people in there, I've yet to hear of more than 5 permanent suspensions on Amazon from our community. And of those 5 permanent suspensions, all of them could have got their account back had they chose to persist, but they decided not to. None of those suspensions are recent. The most recent one is a few years ago. So Amazon, the conclusions we can very clearly draw from these facts are Amazon loves resellers. They love the REPLENS model. Probably around somewhere between 30 and 35% of everything being sold on Amazon any given day are coming from third-party resellers like us. Amazon's making a ton of money serving very happy customers by providing the service that we help them provide. I was told by a senior vice president at Amazon, it's been a few years ago, but he told me, you guys are so much better at filling our shelves than we are. We're crazy to try to take that from you. You guys are great at it. You guys take on the risk and you make sure the customers have great product. We could never hire enough people to do what you guys do. Thank you. He was basically thanking me as a representative of the third-party reseller community that was listening to our content. That's pretty incredible. So on an individual level, we talk about, oh, I'm going to get an IP complaint. I'm going to lose some sleep over this. This seems highly stressful. Keep in mind that there's people doing this business at a very high level where they're seeing multiple IP complaints and health account issues every week, multiple. And the worst case scenario stories you hear are temporary suspensions, right? And then when they really hurt, it's like if they happen right in the middle of December, yeah, that's going to cost you some money. But that's the outlier example of the worst case scenario. You just don't hear about. I mean, I've been hearing about eBay, which for a long time had a great reputation. Like, oh, no one ever gets suspended on eBay. I've seen some people discussing in our Facebook group recently where eBay has just turned them off inexplicably. What's going on? Yeah. No recourse. There's no Jeff Schick that you can call for that. It's like, you've been shut down. There's no recourse. With Amazon, there's always a path forward. So your worst case scenario, unless the example I give is if you're ordering fake Nike knockoffs from China and selling them as real Nikes on Amazon, yeah, you could lose your account and probably find yourself in some legal trouble too. But being a reseller, buying from legitimate sources, flipping, no, you're going to be just fine. Now, on most Wednesday episodes of this podcast, we've been featuring recently Jeff Schick, who you've been talking about. He's an actual lawyer and also, more importantly, an Amazon policy expert that really helps our community with these things. He'll talk about things like, hey, should I be buying liquidations and discounts and selling them on Amazon? And even if I list them as used, and what are the risks that I'm taking? He talks about those kind of issues. If you want to be completely safe, make sure you've got legitimate receipts from legitimate authorized retailers, which all the big box stores are legitimate authorized retailers for everything they sell, right? It's the little off the beaten path mom and pop store that sometimes, you don't know, am I buying something that was liquidated 2 weeks ago or am I buying actual new retail products? Yeah. So you want good receipts from legit retailers, you're going to be perfectly fine. There's no scenario that any one of us can imagine where you get permanently suspended for that. IP complaints, the worst case scenario is you got to stop selling that product. Yeah. 99.9% of the time, that's the worst case scenario you could face with an IP complaint is you're going to have to stop selling that product. You just go find more ASINs. So it really isn't, it shouldn't be a high stress thing, thankfully. Now, if that was the case, I'd be fine sharing it. Like, hey, you've got about a 5% chance at some time in the next 5 years, you're going to lose your account. Full transparency, we'd share that if that was the actual statistic, but it's just not. Take Jeff, for example. I don't know if you heard him with the interview we were having. I said, you've served hundreds and hundreds of clients now. How many of them have gone on to lose their account? He said, none. It doesn't happen. Yeah. This doesn't happen. You tackle it. You write your letter, you change your course, and Amazon lets you back in. Worst case scenario is a temporary suspension of some kind. Gotcha. So Amazon really does have our back ultimately. They make some mistakes along the way, but they correct course, let the good guys back in. The stuff we teach, it's stuff that good guys do all day, every day to make a living, at a pace that's 5, 10, 20 times bigger than where you guys are, facing 5, 10, 20 times as many of those little issues, but just swatting them off like, eating them for breakfast every day and moving on with their day, right? Yeah. It's just one of those little challenges. It's like the paperwork that you got to fill out if you're going to be in real estate. Like, oh, got an inspector coming. That inspector could shut down our whole project. Oh no, what are we going to do? And he shows up and he's eating a donut and he's like, yeah, looks good to me, and signs it. Like, why was I so worried? Right? It's like, every business has those things that we kind of get worked up about. And The real thing to keep your eye on is your numbers, your profitability. Don't get enamored with any one product and get emotionally attached to it. Don't go super deep on a hunch. Go buy 1,000 units of something because it's hot right now. You don't want more than a month's worth of any product. Minimize your risks, minimize your exposure, and you really can't go wrong other than that. We've been doing this several years now, and it is by far the most stable e-commerce business model that I've seen, by far, hands down. The challenge it has is it's kind of difficult to explain in a 15-second snippet soundbite.
Mhm.
It takes about 3 to 5 minutes to explain it adequately and do it justice. And a lot of people lose intention. Or like you were saying, Claudi, earlier, people hear, oh, selling on Amazon? Oh, that's a scam. I know somebody who spent $25,000 on a course and never made any money. Selling on Amazon is a scam. So that's what we're fighting against. It was we're educating people is, that perception out there. We don't have a $25,000 course. We've got a course that costs a few dollars a day, right? A couple bucks a day, and you've got everything we have to give you, and a whole bunch of success stories. So hopefully that should make you feel better. As you're in a large community of people that have been doing this a while, don't worry about the IP, the legal stuff. As long as you're staying above board, if you've got Jeff Schick and you're bouncing the decisions off him, you're good. And you mentioned earlier too, talking about IP complaint issues, just to be thorough. One of the things you should be looking out for, and I know you guys probably know this, is if you are the only other seller on an ASIN is the brand owner, stay away.
Yeah.
We do
We
it.
learned that the hard way, yes.
Yes.
Because they will make your life miserable. They can't get you suspended, but they can send you a really mean, scary letter that you can hang on your wall and scare people like, oh, look at the letter I got from the law firm. Like, yeah, you could throw it away. Just don't sell that IP. Don't sell against that anymore. Say, hey, sorry, we won't sell this anymore. And you move on with your life. A lot of brands have hired lawyers just to send out scary letters to try to keep everybody off of their listing. And by law, this is actually an important distinction. You're not breaking any laws. It's an Amazon rule. It's a trademark. Like, hey, we don't like you using our picture. So like if you were to sell that same product over here on eBay or on Facebook Marketplace, cool. But on Amazon, no, because you're using our picture or the picture doesn't look right. Or, it's always some kind of little technical thing. But as far as like getting yourself into some kind of legal trouble, no. Haven't heard of those cases. Jeff Schick would ring the alarm bell very fast if there was any kind of serious legal ramifications to any of this. It's just a matter of what you are and aren't allowed to sell. And if you sell something you're not supposed to, sorry, I'll stop selling it. You liquidate it, you sell it somewhere else, move it to eBay, get rid of it, and go find another 30 great products somewhere else.
And we've had to do that a few times.
Yeah, you move on. It'll happen.
Yeah.
That's the reality of this is any given month, you find X number, let's say 30 or 40 new replens because 5 or 8 of your replens died off the month before and you replace it. And you know that those replens you found will last somewhere between a few weeks and a few months, maybe a few years, but they're always kind of fading away for one reason or another.
Yes,
for sure.
Let's make good use of the time. What else is on your list? That was that was an in-depth answer, but hopefully you found that helpful.
Yes, absolutely. I think one of the other things we're planning on trying to come to the conference this year, and
great.
We're waiting on the final information to try to get everything scheduled.
I'll tell you when we get off the call here, I can tell you guys where the city is. We're just a few days away from announcing it, the Proven Conference. By the time this video comes out, we probably will have announced the city. So I can tell you guys a little early, but
wonderful.
theprovenconference.com. It's within driving distance of where you guys are. I can tell you that.
Oh, good. Yeah, awesome.
Not too bad of a drive anyway.
So one question I've heard people talk about having, local mastermind groups and, those types of things. And because we have gone about this pretty much alone the whole time. And, it's nobody really understands about it, or like she said, they think it's a scam and we're going to get scammed somehow or whatever. And so I think it would be really good for us to meet other people, especially local people that we could go have a cup of coffee with and type of thing. So is there ways that we can do that? I mean, I know if we go to the conference, maybe we can meet some people.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's three things I want to say on this point, and maybe more will pop into my head. But first, it's absolutely vital to do what you guys are describing. Now, especially if you were single. Now that you're married, you've got your spouse, you're doing it together, that's great. But you still want to find yourself in a group, in a community, other people. You can jump on a Zoom call, even. It doesn't have to be local. Ideally, it is local if you can possibly work it out, just because of the power of face to face. 80% of communication is nonverbal. Females understand this instinctually. Us guys, kind of when we first hear that, we don't believe it, but it's true anyway. 80% of communication is nonverbal. So if you can meet together face to face and get in the same room, hugely powerful. We've actually got a feature in our Facebook group where we kind of describe how to do it. I'll stick a link in the show notes today to that exact post in our group where you can say who lives near me in this Facebook group. Larger Facebook groups have that feature. We talk you through how to do it. So that's one thing you guys can do. The other you mentioned is come to the live event. Absolutely plan on it. Something that I haven't announced many places yet, but when we start selling tickets for the Proven Conference, one of the things we're doing for the VIP attendees this year is we're assigning them to, it's optional, of course, but we're assigning them to a mastermind group. And that mastermind group meets at the event, get everybody's email address and phone numbers. They all exchange information, and then they set when are we going to meet? Weekly, every other week, what time of the day works for everybody. And we're just going to help them launch and set it in place. And then be available too as leaders to make an appearance when they invite us in. Like, hey, we'd really like to have someone come and talk about topic X this week. So we're going to make that available to all of our VIP attendees. And there's actually going to be a session that I'm going to lead where we bring it all into shape at the event. So that's some of the things I have to say on that topic, but I can't emphasize enough that you shouldn't do this business alone. Even if you're a married couple, you need some other people to kind of come in alongside of you, encourage you, bounce questions off of, because that monetizes. If for no other reason, you will make more money doing this. But the cool thing that we've seen is, we've seen marriages come out of this. We've seen, people meet and become best friends and attend each other's weddings and go on vacations together. And they start to forget even like, how did we meet? Oh yeah, that's right. We met through a mastermind when we were selling on Amazon, and they've launched, courses together and become leaders in our community even. So it's not a side benefit to pick up a few nice relationships when you're in business. It's the reason business exists. And that's coming from a biblical vantage point. But I'm fully convinced that the reason God gave us business was so we could become more interdependent on each other, rely on each other. Relationships form from that, as evidenced by the concept of a transaction in Hebrew is considered to be the beginning of a mutually beneficial lifelong relationship. Yeah. That's what a transaction is. It's the start of a relationship. It's not just the exchange of goods for cash. It's supposed to be a relationship. That's the whole reason we do this. So I love that your instincts are there asking about it. That's some of the things that we do. Jump in our Facebook group and someone will help you if someone's listening to this and wondering what it is we're talking about. If you have questions about any of this, but we do have a specific post in our group. I'll stick a link to it in the show notes where you can find out, hey, who lives near me? Because with 72,000 people in our group, assuming that you put your zip code or what part of the world you're from in your bio, some people don't. But if you do that, Facebook can say, hey, here's the other people that live near you. You can reach out to them individually by private message and say, hey, you still doing the business? Where are you at? Do you want to get together, talk e-commerce? Yeah, Amazon sometimes. We've seen, I would say, dozens of phenomenal groups form at this point, many of which I've heard of only after they were meeting for a couple of years in some cases. And I'll get invited sometimes and like, hey, Jim, would you come hang out on Zoom with our mastermind? We've been meeting for a couple of years. We'd love to have you come and hang out with us. I've gotten those kind of invitations. I love to get those kind of invites. It's always a blast. So yeah, make it happen. But it's up to you to make it happen.
Yeah.
Unless you're a VIP attendee, now we're going to do some of the lifting for you and put you into a group based on some questions. We're going to ask all the VIP attendees, kind of, find some commonalities and try to group people by region if possible. So those face-to-face meetups might be more, feasible that way. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question, but absolutely great
We'll
line of
definitely
thought.
we'll definitely do that. Do you have any other questions? I get the only other question I had is concerns accounting. Like we use Inventory Lab, which is helpful, but I don't know as we grow if that's enough or what suggestions you might have as we scale up. I don't want to leave that by the wayside. I want to make sure that's right as we grow our business.
Absolutely. I mean, hiring a good accountant puts more money in the bank than it costs you. Saying, doing these things right ultimately saves you so much money. So yeah, Inventory Lab does a decent job, but you won't find many accountants that say, yep, that's all you need. You're going to find a lot more useful numbers from a tool such as Seller Board, for example. They're going to dial in your, they take into account all of the fees, all the reimbursements. Like Seller Board really does a great job. I'm so glad they're a sponsor of this show, but they really are a premier tool in our industry. Go to silentjimdotcom/numbers to see. It's like a 2-month free trial, super inexpensive tool. It's like $15 a month or something starting. It really helps you know your numbers. Now, the other thing that we've just launched within the past few days, which makes me glad you asked that question, are Hummingbird services, which are all the services that have kind of grown out of necessity, serving this community, helping people get trademarks, helping them become brand registered, helping our international students get set up with an LLC and a presence in the United States. All those services that we just kind of, hey, we can't find the perfect go-to professional. Let's just do it ourselves and bring good people in. We're actually offering tax services now too, bookkeeping and tax services through Hummingbird. So basically call the coaching office. There's a link at silentjim.com. Get set up there. We'll stick a link in the show notes too. But you do want to be intentional about it. There's a lot of good ways to do it. There's a lot of good accountants. The easiest thing for me to tell you to do is hire a local accountant, a small business accountant who's been doing it for a while. If they've got any other e-commerce clients, that's cool. But a business is a business to a lot of these guys have been doing it for a while. If they've been doing accounting for 20, 30 years, they can handle your business. They're going to tell you what they need. But we are offering specialized for, the Amazon comes with its own set of what kind of reports do I need to pull? When should I pull them? That sort of thing. So yeah, give us a shout on that front. But if all you've got is Inventory Lab, kind of feeding that data into maybe QuickBooks or something, you're probably missing out on some deductions. Your numbers aren't probably quite as accurate as they could and should be. There's some reports you need to pull from Amazon at the year end that help you out too, depending on which kind of, if you're doing, cash basis accounting versus, there's different ways to do it. But I'm not the accounting expert by any means, but I do know we've got the resources and the professionals here doing it. So a lot of the coaches on our team and a lot of coaching students on our team are starting to use our internal in-house tax services through Hummingbird. So there's some options for you, right? Several options for you. Anything from using a local accountant, which I highly recommend. Doing it yourself, I do not recommend. Because again, a good accountant will save you more money than they cost you.
I absolutely agree. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Well, hopefully that helps you out. I don't give short answers to anything anymore. That's the one thing I found the longer I do this. I give very nuanced answers because I want to make sure that everybody who's listening, everyone from the new guy to the one who's been around a while, I want to kind of try to hit the full scope of the spectrum. So you asked some very simple, great questions, and I gave some very long, complex answers, but hopefully it helped you guys and it helped the listeners today as well. Anything else on your mind, Claudi? Did he leave anything out of the story or anything? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your family? I would just give us a little background on you guys. I'd love to get to know you just a little bit more than the listeners too, maybe.
About me?
Your kids, anything, just like tell us. You mentioned the kids, but tell us about them.
I have a daughter. She's 13 years old. She's Brazilian from my previous marriage. He has 4 kids, like that are not really kids. Some are adults.
Yeah.
And 3 of them are in college. No, 1 is graduated, 2 are in college, and 1 finishing high school.
Gotcha. A couple of them are getting interested in maybe doing the Amazon thing too, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, they have seen what we're doing, and it's like, oh man, I want to try this.
Yes.
So they're a little interested. So actually, send them to listen to the podcast and that type of thing. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Let's see.
Well, we'd love to see you guys in July 6th through 8th, the Proven Conference. Bring some of your kids, the ones that are interested in the business. They would absolutely love it.
Yes.
And it's a great family friendly environment. A lot of families come and bring their teens or older adult kids, and they're kind of doing the business together. It's very common actually in a community to see that sort of thing happening. And that's what I'm doing. Like right now, my warehouse is about 4 miles or so from here. We've got any given day, my mom, my aunt, and 2, if not 3 of my kids are there working. And they're all there way more than I am. I'm here doing this kind of thing and running the business and the education side. But yeah, it's a family business. So the challenge is around holidays is we don't want to spend the whole time talking e-commerce and Amazon because over half the people in the room are on the team, right? So we got to go like, okay, we're not allowed to talk business here. Okay, we're talking family stuff and fun stuff today. No business, right? So it becomes a challenge. But yeah, I love doing the business with family, and I think it's a brilliant way to set it up. So maybe get them integrated into your business somehow before they launch on their own, and let's get them out there finding profitable products, selling through you guys' account maybe. But yeah, that's awesome. Well, looking forward to. Let's just plan on you guys coming in July. Man, we're going to make it happen. We'll figure it out. Get you guys there. Looking forward to meeting you face to face.
We already have the dates in our calendar. We're not going to schedule anything on this date.
That's great. I love to hear that. Yeah. And after we end the recording here, I'll let you guys know where to look and you guys can go check it. It's a beautiful hotel. We got such a great deal. I'm so proud of the deal that we landed this year for our attendees. But all right. So I think we'll wrap it up there then. Claudi and Justin, right? Yeah. Great to meet you guys today. Good hanging out with you today. And I think I'll address the listeners here for just a moment before we wrap this one up and just thank them for hanging out with us today. If you're new to this podcast, you should know that we've got hundreds of episodes where we've interviewed students at all different success levels, those who are just kind of starting out, maybe catching some momentum, like our guests today, Justin and Claudi, or those who have built 6-figure-a-month businesses or more. Check out some of the past episodes. Go to silentjimdotcom, click on the podcast link. They're all listed there. If you're watching on YouTube, you should know many of our episodes don't make it to YouTube. They're just audio only. So that's the only way you can hear all the great episodes is on our silentjim.com website. If you're ready to get started, Proven Amazon course is where you should start. Of course, you've got our free Facebook group as well, 72,000 members there. Jump in. It's completely free, supported by a team of 100 moderators and administrators that can answer your questions and all the great students in our community who are doing this business. All those links are at silentjim.com. Hey, leave us a review, 5 stars, thumbs up, all that. We certainly appreciate you spreading the word and sharing. We have a $0 marketing budget for this show. So you sharing the word about this show is the only way word spreads. Thank you if you're doing that for us. But on behalf of my great guests today, again, you guys did a great job. Thank you, Justin, Claudi. It's such a great time meeting you guys.
Thank you for having us.
And the whole team that helps put this together. We'll do another great episode for you very soon. Until then, God bless. Stay in the fight. Hey, thanks for hanging out today. Before I let you go, one short reminder. We are so grateful to our new sponsor to this program, Seller Board. If you haven't checked them out yet, get over to silentjim.com/numbers. This is the software that tells you if you're profitable or not. It helps you track all of your expenses, your KPIs, sales, refunds, advertising costs, all of it. Profit, loss. This is tremendous software that fills a gap in the marketplace. Many successful sellers in our community are using this tool to help them know which of their products are profitable and which ones aren't. You'll love Seller Board. For just $15 a month starting, you can really dial in and know how your business is doing. silentjim.com/numbers. Talk to you next time.